The Killer, directed by David Fincher, has finally hit Netflix after premiering at the Venice Film Festival and receiving a limited release. A lot of us, myself included, were not able to find a theater with this playing, so although it's not ideal, I had to fire it up on Netflix on a Friday afternoon. I can confidently say that David Fincher is one of, if not my favorite working directors right now. To me, he is the definition of a filmmaker who his 6th, 7th favorite film of mine is still a 4.5, potentially 5-star masterpiece. So while this being one of my most anticipated films of the year, I can tell you this rocks. It's a simple plot based on a French graphic novel series, essentially following this assassin. He's on a job, some things go wrong, he has to do more killings, and you're really just following his life. Played by the ever-talented but so often poorly casted Michael Fassbender, about 99% of this film is seen through his perspective alone, with incredible voiceover of him describing what he is doing in the moment. The tone is very impressive because you would feel like this is a film that requires a lot of action, very fast paced. Honestly, in many ways, this could be compared to a John Wick type film. But instead of just being simply action, this film is fairly slow at times, but in the best way possible. It really focuses on the mundane of his everyday life. And for someone who has hardly any emotion when he does perform these killings, you still feel some sense of humanity just seeing him be an everyday human doing things, doing tasks that you would do. And I don't want to spoil any of the supporting cast because honestly, I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it going into this film. And I was pleasantly surprised when familiar faces would show up. But on my first viewing, the plot and all the story beats that happened kind of took back seat to the overall tone and energy that this film was giving me. And I do think it's impressive that this film kind of works in multiple levels. On one hand, I think there are going to be a lot of people that view this surface level as a really good drama thriller about an assassin, but there is definitely more to chew on, and I think there are a lot of deeper themes that Fincher is trying to tell. But I think this is one of those films that in order for me to fully process my interpretation of them, it's going to require a second and possibly even third viewing. There's a lot there, and I do have an initial interpretation of what this film is trying to say. Once I started to connect the dots about halfway through of the themes of this film, I just got more excited to rewatch this, to view the first 20 minutes again, to see how I view those themes differently the next time around. I don't think there are a lot of directors that can do that, or if they do try to have an alternative message within the story structure, it's way too on the nose. And I think David Fincher is a masterful director where he's able to balance this simplistic but still interesting storytelling and also give you something to chew on. It feels really good watching a film like this knowing that you are in the hands of a master of the craft, because every individual part within this film is put together so well that even if this isn't your favorite film of the year, you can't help but recognize how much talent went into it. Of course, the score was incredible, with Fincher working again with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Not only are they Oscar winners with his previous films, but they have teamed up for nearly every one for the past decade now. And this score, for lack of better words, is killer. The locations that this film chooses to go to with the set designs and set pieces, cinematography is gorgeous, and the film editing is so unique in a way that feels so intentional. Like you are at the hands of this editor, forced to feel exactly what they want you to feel simply by the way they cut a scene. It's really hard to describe how it all works, but when it all comes together, it just makes you feel a certain way. It makes you feel dark, it makes you relate to this character, and honestly, this is the perfect film to describe the entire career of a man like David Fincher. So that's my thoughts on The Killer. Have you seen it? What do you think? Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you next time.